Welcome back to the opening weekend of LCS 2026, presented by MasterCard. Today, we see our remaining 4 teams take to the stage for the first time in the new season. Later on in the afternoon, LYON's new roster debuts with some familiar faces, including last year's MVP, as Dignitas are challenged to rise to the occasion with a new roster of their own. But first, last year's #1 team FlyQuest has rebuilt for 2026, while Shopify has made only a single change. Both teams are ready, so let's waste no more time. First up, please welcome the youngest roster in the LCS. It's FlyQuest, with Gakos in the top lane, Griffin in the jungle, Quad at mid, bot lane Masu, and support Cryogen. And debuting their new mid laner today on the opposite side of the rift, it's Shopify Rebellion. With Fudge in the top lane, Contracts in the jungle, Zini at mid, B-Boy AD carry, and support Seos. One more time for Shopify Rebellion and their opponents FlyQuest as we get ready to hop into our first best of 3 here today. The players will take their seats, adjust their settings for the final touches. And before we get into Champ Select, we've got to do our introductions here. I'm Captain Flowers, joined by Emily Rand and Azale here for today's TriCast. Yesterday, I think we got a pretty good day 1. I'm excited to see what we get here on day 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to say, these are some of the most exciting rosters for me coming into 2026. So many new players, so many young players as well, that I just can't wait to find out how they're going to perform at the Tier 1 level.
Yeah.
And before we get into Champion Select, we're going to quickly hear from some of those players on stage right now.
Thanks, Flowers. I'm here with Griffin, LCS debut. How's the adrenaline feeling before this first game?
Oh, yeah. Wait, can I hold the thingy? Sure. Okay. Yeah, so I'm feeling good. I think everyone's pretty excited. Appreciate everyone for watching. I think this is going to be like a pretty big moment for everyone on the team. Obviously, this is my first time playing on stage in the LCS, even though I played on TV LOL before. But we obviously have people like Cryogen that's playing for the first time. So I appreciate everyone watching. It's a big moment for all of us. Thank you.
Hell yeah, let's leave it at that. Good luck in the game today, Griffin. We're going to send it to the other side with Kobe and Fudge.
Yo, you want the mic too? Griffin is hyped, bro. Here.
For me, I'm just going to play my own game. We're staying calm, and we're ready to win.
All right. We're focused. At the end of last year, I did an interview with Dignitas, and he said, you were the top 3 top laner, only behind him and Bwipo, and Bwipo has left the league. So are you going for the #1 spot, or are you going to be #2 top?
I'm definitely going to be #1 this year, that's for sure.
I like that. You also have Zinni on your team now. How's it been playing with him? Super hype prospect coming in.
I mean, Zinni is obviously going to be the best mid lane in the league, without a doubt. So he's definitely hyped to play, and I think he's very, he's the best, really.
So you have the best mid laner and the best top laner here.
Jungle and the best bot lane.
Okay, let's go. Let's get these games started then.
All right, both teams are sounding confident.
Sounds like an easy win.
Yeah.
You got the best top laner, best mid laner, best jungler, best bot lane.
I do want to ask, like, what person would say, like, no, I'm not going to try to be the best?
No, I'm comfortable with
Yeah,
#2.
like,
I'm just
I was thinking I
coast.
was shooting for #7,
good.
like
Yeah.
just good enough to get my spot back next year, you know.
If I'm not 8, I'm great. Like, that's probably not the championship mentality, but clearly Fudge has confidence in Shopify. Obviously, the roster only having that 1 change there in the mid lane compared to 2025.
I do too, actually. I do miss the throws at Audicon.
Yeah,
It was a fun time.
It was. Fudge, though, definitely, I think, deserving of that confidence. I think he was great last year for Shopify. But I got to love the vibes from Griffin, man. This guy is so fun to hear talk. If you haven't watched Pro's episode with him, it was fantastic. And him and Fudge were actually bantering nonstop when I was in the makeup room earlier. They were just talking back and forth, and Griffin's just saying, oh, you guys have to ban 3 jungle champs against me to even stand a chance, bro. and Fudge is like, well, what about your Skarner? He's like, yeah, well, I invented the grass Skarner too. Like, it's just so funny hearing him banter back and forth. So we'll see if any jungle champs do get banned against him.
Well, he's also really fun to listen talk, but he popped off in CBLOL, right? Like, he was the main carry for his team. And this is interesting. FlyQuest have selected second pick while Shopify have selected red side.
Oh.
That's the first time we've seen this happen in the LCS. Usually it's first pick, other team selects blue side.
Yep.
Okay, well, let's see how it shakes out then. As Rumble, Ambessa, and Cassiopeia banned out by Shopify Rebellion, FlyQuest removing the Poppy and the Jace with 1 ban left to go.
Yeah, so Ambessa jungle is something that Griffin does actually play, so maybe he got 1 ban, you know, could be a ban against him. Of course, Quad always known for the Cassio, and Cassio is actually quite strong now in this season, so I do think that's going to be a mainstay on the bans against FlyQuest.
You mentioned the Ambessa jungle. Jace jungle was also super popular on ladder here for the first week of the new season. Pretty much every jungler playing those. Jarvan, a more traditional pick that has been very, very popular in the jungle as well. As Varus is locked in for Shopify, it is a flex between AD carry and top lane, and Wukong will be the first pick here for Fly.
Yeah, and it's no surprise to see the Varus locked in immediately. Been a really high priority pick, really dramatic win rate outside of, I believe, the LCK right now in terms of just winning globally across the world. We have the Malphite locked in.
Malphite jungle or Malphite top? I'm assuming it's jungle.
I think it's going to be Malphite jungle. Contracts was one of
Sylas
these junglers.
is up.
Yeah.
Sylas is up. I feel like I don't even care if you don't know how to play Sylas. You just press Sylas.
Slam it. Also, I feel like Griffin is the type of jungler to have practiced jungle Sylas.
Well, and then you'd have to put Wukong top or something, though, right? So we would have to see some more like atypical lanes. So I guess they're saying like you won't just slam Sylas because you don't want to like blind Sylas top, and we're not willing to play, you know, Wukong top and Sylas jungle. But I am a little bit surprised because that is always seen as like if you're gonna play Malphite, you have to pay the tax of the Sylas. Statistically, I remember I was talking to Freak, and that's supposed to be like the sharpest counter, so to speak, in the entire game of any combination of champions. So they are not going to go for it, though. Instead, it is going to be the Jhin, who is the other side of that, who's going to be countered by the Malphite. So we'll see how that works out for Masu.
Yep, and the Azir kind of standard, fits into any composition, super high prio mid. Also something that Ginny has had insane highlights on during his KT Challengers career. I personally, as someone who watched him in Challengers, I'm super excited for his debut here in the LCS, and he is incredibly comfortable on this pick, like most LCK mid laners.
I mean, he is just such a talented player. This is a guy who I think we would have seen in the LCK probably a while ago if he wasn't behind BDD, one of the very best, most experienced mid laners in the entire world. But this is a guy who had LCK offers, and I know, you know, talking to DeMonte, he was saying he was surprised that he wasn't just going to join an LCK team because he got multiple LCK offers. And decided to come, you know, join Shopify, was really excited for the prospect of playing with this team. And he is really, I think, a player with incredibly high expectations. You know, this is someone who was looked at as a potential top LCK mid laner prospect-wise. So for him to be coming here, starting his career in Tier 1 in the LCS, I think is really, really exciting. This guy could be something special.
All right, we've got the second half of the bans completed now with Nautilus and Sion banned by FlyQuest. Shopify Rebellion removing Rakan and Gwen from the pool of available choices as FlyQuest's fourth pick now. They're thinking about a couple of different things, but it will be Karma to pair with the Jhin.
Yeah, we have a nice Enchanter support to be supporting that Jhin. We'll see what Shopify want to respond to here.
I feel like we need some sort of hard engage, though, from FlyQuest side. Like, yes, you have the Wukong who can go in, but it doesn't feel like it is, you know, the first thing you want. Generally, Wukong functions better as follow-up, and if you're going to go in Enchanter support, you know, that is something that you are paying. Of course, we are expecting to be Malphite jungle. It's going to be Malphite jungle because we have that Renekton coming through, and Seo's just going to slam down the Bard.
Okay.
So Bard, Malphite, those are kind of like the primary engages. Obviously, you have the Varus as the follow-up. You have potential Azir shuffles, lots of ways to engage. It is going to be Cassante for Gakko. So the go button really just is kind of the Wukong Orianna combo, and that is just about it. Whereas on the other side, there's so many ways to start up the fights, and there's really vulnerable carries in both the Jhin and the Orianna. So I kind of like what Shopify has drafted out here in this first game.
Yeah, when I'm looking at how these compositions each kind of play out, the space and setup that's required of FlyQuest, in my opinion, is a little bit more difficult. They obviously do have champions with pick potential, like the Cassante, like the Wukong kind of jumping on top of you. But I really love what Shopify have brought to the table here. I'm especially excited to see contracts on this jungle Malphite.
Yeah, jungle Malphite's exciting. Having Zinni on like the staple mid laner for, as you mentioned earlier, Emily, pretty much any type of comp or situation in League of Legends is a great way to get a gauge on, you know, how he's going to look here for his debut. Pretty much every aspect of the mid laner skill set can be applicable to Azir.
Absolutely. And Contrax is a guy who's been around for a long time competitive, you know, 2017 coming in, Cloud9. This is his first ever Malphite jungle game of his career. And he is going to be playing PTA Malphite, so going to be exciting to see how he performs on it. Contract's always one of the players that is very quick to pick up new picks in the meta, which is something I've always enjoyed about him. Regardless of the style, if it's a tank, if it's a carry, if he thinks it's OP, he's going to play it, and he's going to play it well.
Yeah, as soon as I heard about some of these new jungle picks coming through and saw them in the LCK and LPL, I was like, Contrax is going to be all over this. He is exactly the type of jungler who wants to play out something like this.
It's interesting, too, because mostly we have been seeing Electrocute for the Malphite jungle, but he is going to go PTA. I am expecting it to just be, you know, like Zeke's tank, you know, that kind of more standard style. I'm not going to see, like, full AP or anything crazy. But the clear for Malphite is actually quite good now. You really can power through the jungle pretty quickly. Of course, your ganks are not really anything until you're 6. This is like kind of the Nocturne territory.
You can throw a shard at them.
Maybe even worse than Nocturne.
You can just kind of wait and waddle into lane, you know?
You can waddle aggressively, yes.
I do want to bring up Zinni again, as you see on the side of your screen. He is one of the most hyped mid lane prospects coming out of the LCK. Everyone was kind of wondering where he would end up after KT Challengers, and I did really quickly pull what I think is one of his most famous play on this Azir that he's playing currently, but this was a huge turnaround fight against Damwon Kia Challengers, I believe they were called at that point, in 2024. And it's one of his most famous kind of Azir shuffle plays that completely turned the game around. I think he actually got the MVP for
Finals
this
MVP.
game as well.
Yep. I mean, this guy has been around for a while in Challengers and really looking incredibly strong. Is B-Boy going to take a 4th shot to the face and is getting pretty low here. We've seen a lot of pretty dominant 2v2s. I will say it feels like more skewed than normal because last year, if you had a really bad 2v2 matchup in bot lane, you just swapped.
Out of it.
Now you can't do that with RollQuest. You are very much locked in your position.
Justice.
Unless you are willing to get crazy and swap in champ select. Like, you can actually swap your role. People have been seeing experiment with that more, so I think that might end up coming to competitive later, where it's like, your Varus can just play as the top laner and you can swap things around, but that is a big commitment and you can't swap back and forth.
We did see a little bit of that too last year as well, especially with the Corki being sent top occasionally to farm up there. But yeah, this Jhin Karma bot lane really taking control of the wave in this 2v2, forcing out the back from B-Boy.
As TP at least, so we'll be able to come back, but is at least going to lose a couple of those minions. And not the best buy. It's just a tier with no pots or anything, so not ideal start here for B-Boy and Seos.
But this is kind of what I want to see from a team that drafts Karma support is lane dominance. If you're going to take this pick, I need to see the bottom lane in this type of shape, so that's going well for FlyQuest.
Yeah, and I think something that's kind of really going to be interesting to see is how Masu and Quad kind of evolve into their new roles on the team, right? Because they were kind of known as more quiet players on this FlyQuest team last year. You had a team, you know, with Inspired, with Whippo, with really opinionated players who were loud, who were going to be shot calling, who were going to be talking a lot about it. And, you know, you'll talk to people, and they basically said that Masu and Busio didn't even talk when they played in-game because they were so on the same page that they could really just play with pinks. When you're playing with someone who is brand new to the Tier 1 scene, like Cryogen. Cryogen just turned 18 recently. You have got to talk. You have got to tell him what you want from him, what you need from him. And it's going to be more of that leadership role now for Masu and Quad.
That is kind of crazy that he is half my age. That's
Oh, no.
That is wild. But yeah, you got somebody new to the league. He's got to find his own identity in the way that he works with the team, the way that he can be his best support. And right now, in that bottom lane, there is the about, you know, wave and change advantage for Masu over B-Boy in terms of the farm. Little tiny advantage there for Quad in mid lane as well. As you can see, supports making their way over. Zinni not going to be hit by that empowered inner flame as Cryogen just wards Seos away now.
I mean, it's just such a different year and such different expectations for FlyQuest now. Coming into this year, last year, at the end of the Worlds, they were the longest standing Tier 1 roster in the world. 513 days together. The expectations was, you know, you're going to dominate LCS. You're going to try to challenge the top teams internationally. That's what people were expecting from FlyQuest. Now it's like a total rebuild, right? You lost 3 of your players. You lost arguably the 2 best players in the West, period, with Inspired and Busio. And now you have 3 super young players. You have new coaches coming in. You have a complete overhaul, and everything is kind of now a restart. You know, they firmly believe that they have the future of League of Legends here in North America on this team. They think they have some really talented young players, but you have got to develop those players and see how quickly they can do that.
Exactly. It's a long-term investment versus looking to just immediately be right back in contention for, oh, we're going to guarantee that we're top 2. We're just going to get the most expensive guys, the most experienced guys we can.
And I think that's kind of what's exciting to me about this roster is that, yes, it is a long-term thing, but you can see the potential with these players. So if there is that high roll and everyone kind of just works from the word go, they could be really good really fast.
Yep.
Yeah, they're a really exciting young team. By contrast, I think it's really interesting to look at Shopify, right, who kept almost their entire roster. I was wondering if Fudge was going to go for it. He did not. But they kept their entire roster, right, except for mid lane. They did that mid lane swap, as we see.
Yep, Flash coming out immediately. The follow unstoppable force from Contracts, and it appears Griffin is caught in a place he cannot escape. It's first blood over to Shopify.
Contracts just had the earlier level 6 there. Griffin was not quite 6, and Contracts just flashes in on him to slow him. Griffin flashes out, but you still have the ult to follow after that. So well played there by Contracts. Gets that early kill, and it goes to Zinni.
Yeah, that's huge for Shopify, and also just, like you said, getting that level 6, really well done when you're looking at this Malphite kind of coming online exactly at level 6, immediately gets the return on that ult and level investment, and should give them a little bit more control down on this bot side as we might be preparing for Drake Cake.
One thing that I always look at whenever it's Azir versus one of these immobile standard type of mages like an Orianna or a Syndra is as soon as he hits level 6, I kind of just like seeing Azir go for the shuffle, blow the flash, especially if you have something like Malphite who's already used his ult. Blow the Orianna flash now. As soon as Malphite has his ult ready again, wham, bam, it's a kill. I'll see if that's what Shopify want to go for here, as Zinni does still have that ultimate available, has his own flash. Quad still with the flash, as well as Contracts is back out on the map. Nice little deadly flourish there from Masu. Seos wants to get over to the magical journey, and indeed he and B-Boy can both take that one to get to safety. Only the 1 kill after 7 minutes. Really the goal difference is just the kill plus the assist money, so not a super active early game from either side just yet.
Yeah, and it makes sense given both of these compositions, especially given where their junglers want to be, right? Hitting level 6 and then kind of taking control of some of these early skirmishes. I do have to point out, Flowers, you know, lane swaps did have a little bit more action than the extended laning phase we're seeing now.
You know, my evenings are also much more eventful if I eat poisoned, rotten food, but I don't particularly think that makes them better.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you get in a car crash on the way home, it's pretty action-packed.
Yeah, but it's not exactly the best way to spend
It's not my preferred method of driving.
I'm sorry, Emily,
for yourself, no.
I'm never crossing the line to your side on this issue. But Shopify Rebellion, happy with their nice little early lead here. Teleports, you can see, are ready to go for everybody on the map except for the top laners. Quad has his. You've got them ready and available, not just for Zinni and B-Boy, but also for Seos, who does have the Summoner Spellbook on the Bard. So I want to see if Shopify can really catch FlyQuest off guard with all these TPs. Griffin goes in for the Cyclone. Contracts tanks the front of it. There's your curtain call. 3 shots of Contracts. Zinni goes in for the shuffle, but he only finds the target there on a Griffin as the Wukong is about to die again. B-Boy takes the kill. Zinni staying alive. Quad at least finds it, but no, the kill credit goes over to Cryogen. It's a 2-for-1 favoring Shopify Rebellion.
Yeah, it's good for Shopify at the end of the day here. Zinni tried to go for the big play with that flash shuffle, but couldn't catch him.
Yeah, B-Boy in danger now, down to 300 HP. You're going to see Seos down to 200 as well, but FlyQuest don't have the firepower to finish off those kills.
Yeah, but they will be able to get mid-prio off of this, which actually does work out well for them as we see Gakkos and Fudge continuing to go at it. And now Contracts is... We don't have a Drake take yet, but he is going up and going to get at least one of these grubs.
Yep, is able to grab 1 grub. B-Boy walking away with 2 kills. It is always terrifying to see an accelerated poke Varus. The amount of damage this guy starts to do is just ridiculous. So are going to have to be pretty careful about that now.
Okay, let's see here. We do have the one grub taken by contracts for the Shopify side. Now Griffin is up there dealing with the remaining 2 grubs. Azael, you, Kobe, and I had a conversation about this yesterday, about how grubs, the efficacy of that objective feels significantly less in 2026 than it did in 2025. So not going to be as happy about being able to take the majority of the grubs as you would have been in the previous year there for FlyQuest, but hey, 2-1 is still a thing. We've still got that first Drake on the board. Ocean Drake as the first one oftentimes gets prioritized a little bit earlier, but this time around, 10 minutes on the clock, still nobody there.
Yeah, and as we see Shopify kind of trying to move in after that skirmish, reestablish vision on this bot side and take advantage of the push that Varus did establish down there. Also, as you already pointed out, Azael, those long-range arrows are starting to hurt.
Yep, it is going to be a little bit difficult, but Masu and Cryogen have done a great job in the 2v2. So even with those 2 kills going over and the plate going over to B-Boy, the gold is pretty much dead even. Masu has his Ghost Blade done. They did create a pretty massive CS advantage, you know.
Almost 4 waves.
Yeah, exactly. A good 20 CS down there in the bot lane is quite nice. Top lane, even though, you know, we've seen some pretty heavy trading, it's basically dead even, and now Shopify, they have first move here. This is going to be completely uncontested. You can see Masu and Cryogen are just walking out of base. Griffin is still just farming. He does not have that completed item because with the Zeke's Rush, it's a lot faster completion than something like the Triforce on the other side, and he's got CDR boots as well.
And it looks like Shopify wants to make a move after quad here. The exhaust is down into the Emperor's Divide, and when Contracts shows up, they've got more than enough damage. Contracts will take his first kill of the game as Shopify go up 4-1.
And I mean, it's fantastic for Contracts. Doesn't even have to spend the ulti, as Fudge gonna have to flash out of there.
Oh, okay. Zenny overstays his welcome, gets a little greedy there, and Griffin cashes in.
Triforce done.
Yeah. That's a really nice pickup for Griffin, kind of taking advantage of the fact that Zinni was overstaying. As we already pointed out, though, yeah, Contracts looking completely comfortable on this Malphite. It is the exact type of champion that we already covered, that he loves to play, and we see him already being just really, really confident going for so many of these engages with his team.
And this item is just so good for Malphite jungle now in this new season.
Yeah.
The ulti haste is so nice. You have an AoE burn and slow after you cast your ulti. So, you know, with this relatively cheap build here early on, it's just ready to go, and we'll see how Zinni died. Looks like he's just going to get caught by a flash ER, and that is just about that.
Yep, you're dead before the last tick of damage comes out from the Cyclone, so not really that great. Meanwhile, all out here on the top side, Fudge in some danger, and Griffin is going to pick up his second kill of the game. FlyQuest striking back. It was a rough start for Griffin, but he has made up for it a little bit now as B-Boy fires off another piercing arrow. Meanwhile, back in mid lane, it's Contracts. The torpedo finds the robot, and kaboom, another kill towards that jungle Malphite.
This is exactly what I want to see from both of these junglers, right? Really getting involved with their lanes as we see Griffin kind of showing up to try to stop this mid lane push.
This is getting spicy.
Yeah, curtain call is opened up. Third shot misses, fourth shot also just a little bit off the mark there. So B-Boy avoiding some serious damage as Seos continues retreating back out of the Pixel Brush. Cryogen does throw the ward down, activates the Phaelite.
Yeah, and Zinni is going to start becoming a huge problem on this Azir. We can see why they've poured so many resources. Contracts has kind of always been there, or Seos has been rotating up on the Bard. And he is in a really, really good spot heading into the mid game.
I kind of want to see that mid lane kill again, just to see, you know, was it a flash over the wall? Like, did he have no vision? Because I believe Quad had flash, so there was always that possibility of being able to react. But of course, if they come, you know, with a flash all out of fog, it is pretty tough to react to that. But that is something that is just so important against playing against Malphite, right? If you can flash that ulti, he doesn't necessarily have a way out, you know. And yes, this is a really powerful build, but it's not like you're some full pure tank where you're just invincible if you do avoid that engage.
So one thing that I'm noticing that's really demonstrating just the focus that Shopify have had on the mid lane, Contracts with multiple visits there. The one man on the map right now whose quest is not completed is Quad on the Orianna, and they're looking to keep him away from it for a little bit longer now too. Shopify setting up for what could be a dive, but FlyQuest knows Quad is the one with a target on his back so far in this first 14 minutes.
There he goes.
The plates start falling. That's the checkpoint. This is a regular thing in the game now. I've got to keep checking in at this point on the clock. And so far, it's been a good 14 minutes for Shopify.
Yeah, and you see kind of how they're really trying to take control of this bot side of the map. Both teams sending their ADs mid, try to get mid prio, the most important thing ever in the history of League of Legends. As we see Shopify maybe setting up for a dive
Ult's up again.
Okay, Cryo and Quad gonna look to see if they can try to stop this, but as soon as Contracts gets the chance, he's immediately full sending it here with the ultimate, gets shuffled back towards the team, and Zinni's taking his 3rd kill of the game. The Azir gets fed, Orianna's dead. Shopify know the playbook.
Yeah, that was a great redive and setup. They had the wave, more money in the pocket of Zinni, and we'll see if Griffin wants to try to respond with a potential dive onto Fudge up here.
Okay, immediately Gatgos goes in, goes all out over the wall, brings Fudge away from the safety of the turret. Dominus or not, that Crocodile is done for. The burst from FlyQuest is clean to get a 4th kill.
I mean, they made that dive look so easy. Gatgos sets it up perfectly, just pulls him fully away from that tower. They knock him down. Got to be a bit critical of Quad, though, on that bot side. That ult was a max-range Malphite ult, as Cryogen has a great sidestep on that Varus one. But Quad needed to flash that Malphite ult in bot lane. That was literally max range with flash up. You're a pro player on land. You have no ping. You got to flash that.
Maybe he thought they wouldn't have been able to kill him, but obviously was proved wrong after as a TP arrives for Shopify Rebellion. The Herald's going to lose some patience. Cryogen does get slowed down by the binding there, and Shopify are going to clear out the vision, maintain control over the Herald pit, and this objective is going their way, no contest.
Yeah, Shopify were just able to kind of muscle their way in as we see this that you called for.
Okay, so he had no vision. This was the earlier one, not the last kill. This was that previous one. So it's the observer showing us he was fully out of vision here, and it's basically just going to come as a total surprise. He's going to flash out ult. Pretty tough to react from when you don't have any idea that he is approaching. The bot lane one, I'm not going to give him the credit.
Yeah, that's a little bit.
The bottom one, he should have flashed for sure. I mean, he knew the Malphite was there, and it was a max range ult, so that's when you got to flash. If you don't, it's just so hard. He flashes then after being ulted and just gets swept in by the Azir, so then it's kind of insult to injury because you can't even avoid the next one. And with how much CDR the Malphite has, like, the ult is up a lot.
Yeah, it's like if you're not flashing the ulti, you shouldn't be flashing, right? Because at that point, the spell is just going to be wasted. But sometimes those are some of the small errors that can end up costing more as the game goes forward. Griffin stunned to the wall here as FlyQuest want to go after the Drake. Seo's caught out by the Deadly Flourish. He does open up a magical journey, takes that to safety over the wall. Contracts ready to contest here for the smite. Gets knocked up by the first cast of the Cyclone, and that's enough to force Shopify back. Now Fudge is looking for his opportunity to get some kind of a punish. Tempered Fate finds Griffin. Piercing arrow charged up over the wall, not going to find a target. Now Cryogen is that target as Contracts wants some more damage. Gets away with the magical journey. FlyQuest coming in here with the teleport. The Shockwave not finding the mark means Shopify is still alive for now. Seo's down to half HP. Curtain Call not hitting the targets on this one as the Herald is summoned up down here in the bottom lane, maybe for combat purposes. Gatgos coming in, root onto Fudge yet again, and FlyQuest gets the kill underneath the tower. Now the Herald is going to be an Uber back home to safety, but it looks like they're going to drive it through the ditch instead. It's all right. They're not in trouble. The tier 1 turret should just fall down here, though, and it's a very good sequence for FlyQuest.
Yeah, FlyQuest managed to get that tier 1. I do want to point out, though, while that was happening, Zinni could not join because of TP, right? So he was able to push this in, get this turret up here in top, and mid tier 1 also went down during that entire sequence because it just took so long. Initially, I thought Shopify were just going to go for a soft contest and completely back off once they pulled FlyQuest away from that Drake pit, but
gotta say, Protoplasm Harness also pretty strong on the Malphite here. That was the second item completion, so did purchase that up. These cheap kind of supportive style items for the Malphite is one of the reasons that it is so strong right now. You have 2 support items essentially here, really fast completion times. He was on 2 full items there where it's like just Triforce in pieces for the other jungler.
Jungle Malphite shops the same brands that Jungle Ivern does, right? they don't care about names, they don't care about brands or clout. Zinni does not care about anything right now because he is dead for the next 40 seconds. Nice plays coming out there from FlyQuest, but now the attempted punish for Shopify. Piercing arrow gets the first kill. B-Boy's on a killing spree. Griffin in a little bit of danger as the Chains of Corruption over the wall don't find the target, but Fudge is in hot pursuit. The Croc gets fed, and Quad is out of mana, out of options, out of time as he runs towards the enemy turrets. A flash seismic shard from Contracts to guarantee there's no execution, and Shopify get the better of the trade. They're up 2,000 gold.
Yeah, a FlyQuest thought they'd have an angle onto Zinni, get him out of the game, kill the raid boss Azir. Really, really nice collapse from Shopify coming in, and it's just going to give them so much more map control on this top side.
It's been a tough game for Quad, I'm not going to lie. 0-5 now at this point.
He has been targeted a lot.
Well, looks like the target is right now on the Malphite. Contracts.
That's a Jin, brother. Don't get too excited.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not like this target is particularly threatening. Since he is 2-0-6, he's got his ult up in 3 seconds.
Look at how fast he's walking away.
He didn't even proc the safety belt.
He's chilling. He's fine. 2 minutes until our next dragon spawns, but with both teams only at a single Drake so far, I'm not feeling like the Drake win con is really the story of this game.
No.
We do still have that good gold lead for Shopify Rebellion. Over 2,500 now, as FlyQuest will be tasked with defending their own red side jungle. Shopify thinks they have enough of a lead to just force their way in here and try to steal away these minor objectives in the buffs.
Well, and they know that Gakkos can't join for a little bit because his TP is down, so we'll see how much pressure they actually want to give this turret.
He's going to lose his whole bot side jungle, and Griffin isn't even cross-mapping to try to steal away camps or anything. They were kind of soft contesting this, but they didn't end up being able to walk in, so they kind of just watched them take both the Krugs and the red buff and push bot all at the same time. And FlyQuest really starting to fall behind more and more. It's nearly 3K now.
Okay, knock up there on Seos. He tries to get away, but the curtain call has opened. First 2 shots, find the support. Third hit Zinni. Fourth one saved for Seos, and the shutdown over to Masu. Fourth shot gets it done. Now Contracts on the run. Deadly Flourish will not hit him for that extra CC. Shopify continues their retreat. Defensive Malphite ulti to make sure he doesn't die there.
Yep, it's going to proc the harness as well. The biggest problem there for Shopify, honestly, was that Zinni was completely right? So, if you have that threat of the turn with the Malphite ult, you could have actually maybe looked for something, but Zinni whiffed on the ult, then was completely out of mana when he E'd back over the wall. So they couldn't really turn and fight at that point, which meant Contracts just has to run for the hills. This TP not going to find much of anything as Seos just spellbook TP down towards that bottom side. Well, seeing if there was an angle there, but Quad, of course, had the empowered recall available with the tier 3 boots.
And I feel like if you're FlyQuest, you want a fight that Gakkos is involved in. If you think there's a fight you need to take at all, he is the one point of strength for them on the map right now, up 600 gold individually. Does have his first 2 major items completed with Iceborne and Thornmail, so it's a ton of armor. Obviously, the MR is a bit of a vulnerability right now. You can see the cloak in inventory working towards a big MR item to be able to deal with the Azir DPS.
Got some shoes.
Yeah, you see, all right, he's got some shoes, but it's not like they're not name brand, right?
No.
We're all shopping at the Malphite store today. As Shopify Rebellion are first to the bottom side river, looking at this third Drake of the game. FlyQuest thinking about contesting for it, but remember, nobody's super stacked. FlyQuest still wants the challenge, and it's going to be stolen away by Griffin. The Wukong goes in to take the objective. Contracts bursted low, but he's not bursted down. Masu's in danger as Fudge slices and dices into the middle of the fight. Zinni wants to go in, and he finds the shuffle onto Cryogen. Everybody else barely manages to escape, but Quad gets the single auto attack to get Zinni back. He tries to flash to get away. A little bit more damage is not there from Shopify as Bevo fires a rain of arrows over the wall, but it cannot hit Quad. Masu's still on the run. It's 1 dead on the side of Shopify, 2 dead for Fly.
But they were able to steal away the dragon. That is so big. Griffin stealing the dragon makes that super worthwhile. A second dragon grab for them. Zinni goes in for the big play, but it was really fast flashes from FlyQuest to avoid that. Everyone was able to flash away except for Cryogen. And then as a result, Quad just turns and actually knocks down Zinni, able to get that kill, barely survives. As the Cassante comes in for the shield, he has that command protected as well. It's critical that he's able to live there. We didn't get a full view on this steal. Let's see,
no,
1800, just Q smite, nicely done.
Yeah, and he pays for it with his life here. But like he said, I actually think FlyQuest, this is completely worth for them, especially since Quad is able to get this kill onto Zinni on the back half of this fight.
They got those young hands, the quick flashes coming out on the FlyQuest side.
That's true. The average age of this team is what, like 20 years old and change?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's
They're
like
so young.
2005. Yeah, that's wild, man.
Yeah, I mean, they're a very young team. They were already a young team. They were, one of the youngest teams international when we would go. But they got even younger. This was last year.
Oh, but it looks like Quad might not be getting much older on the Rift. Contracts are going to take him out before old age can strike, as Griffin's in the middle of everybody with a 3-man
Zenny.
Contract going to get hit there by the R2 as Zenny retreats. FlyQuest trying to find these kills, but they don't have the burst to get anybody here just yet. Gat goes into the back line. Zenny's going to be taken low, taken down. Gat goes gets the kill. Fudge is trying to create the same kind of space into the FlyQuest back lines. He stuns up Quad.
Whoa.
Attack, but he can't find it. The shield is real, and Quad stays alive.
That is massive for FlyQuest. They win out this fight 3-0. We'll see if they can try to push for a Baron. They really want to go for it here.
Yeah, piercing arrow coming out from B-Boy. Contracts has to be the one keeping anybody from FlyQuest away from this Varus. FlyQuest now still all 5 players alive, going after the Baron. It's 15 seconds until Zenny is back alive. 5 seconds on Seos. B-Boy and Contract stepping up. Cryogen going to be your target here at the start. Baron half HP. Now
3 seconds on Malphite ult.
Gat goes, he's low, Griffin low, in goes Contracts, tries to take him out, flashes into the back of the pit, wants to be able to fight for the smite.
Oh, Griffin
it's
got
Griffin to guarantee it for FlyQuest, but now the rest of the fight has to be fought. Zenny going in for Quad, needs the damage, finds it, but he dies himself. Zeus and B-Boy are chasing him down. They want to get as many of these kills as they can. Griffin's still waiting in the tri-brush, seeing if there's an opportunity to try to turn. Cryogen with a Montre and her flame. Masu down to 100 HP. He stays alive. B-Boy gets 1 kill. He's on a rampage. He gets a second there on Masu. Seos knows Griffin and Gatgos are the only 2 left alive here with the Baron. He tries to go in. Fudge pops Dominus. He wants to try to slice him and dice him with a call to Meek. He goes back in. Gatgos is kiting him. Fudge is chasing. Griffin and Gatgos juggling this renekton around. But Fudge finally gets the kill. Now what about the last one? If they can get the kill on Griffin here, it's massive, because that's the last Baron. But no, Griffin survived.
What a fight over by the Baron. That was insanity. Contracts, the split second his ulti came up, it was a couple seconds as he was going for that contest. The ulti comes up, he tries to kill off Griffin, but Griffin barely survives. We gotta go back. So this is right as he ultied back in, right on cooldown, can't finish Griffin. He flashes into the back of the pit, looks to finish this off. I saw about 70 health on the Baron from the smite from Contract, 78 when the smite comes in. He tried to time his smite with his W, but the W from the Malphite wasn't perfectly synced up, so it went off. The W was literally mid-clap when the smite came through from the Wukong, so not perfect timing there from Contracts, and Griffin back-to-back objectives are secured, and then this was just insane, Emily.
Yeah, and I mean, look at all of the healing coming out of the heals and shields. How many times I thought that Shopify would be able to take advantage of these blinking health bars. Basil dying a little bit there.
I like how the completely different reactions from the coaching staff of the same team. Apollo looks devastated. Thinkard just looks happy.
Yeah, Apollo looks like one of those anime ghosts has like left his body. The fight before that, I do want to point out.
Wait, hold on. We don't have time for that right now. Immediately Griffin's going in and B-Boy's going down. Perfect engage there from FlyQuest. And they're looking to make it a 2-for-1 deal. Griffin on a killing spree as Contract's Malphite falls. And now with the Dragon begun, because of the fact that Griffin stole the last one, this is FlyQuest moving to Soul Point.
Yeah, this is huge. This is Soul Point for FlyQuest. I love what we've been seeing from Griffin in this game, even when it was Contracts really trying. Fudge is in trouble.
Yeah, hold on. What's going on here with the Crocodile?
He was in position for what he thought was going to be the Dragon fight.
Yeah.
But then his team got caught moving to the Dragon, and he was trying to recall. Gets, I think, found out on that recall, so gets spotted, ends up going down, and that is really costly. Now Zenny's in the wrong spot, too.
Yeah, Zenny got to be careful here. Has the Sun Disc to fall back to, but Quad is still looking to keep the play going because Griffin's also about to arrive. Defensive Emperor's Divide from Zenny keeps him alive. But honestly, this game at its peak was almost 3,000 gold advantage for Shopify. Now 2,000 advantage for FlyQuest. It's a 4.5K swing.
I mean, what a massive difference these couple objective secures have made for Griffin. Griffin is super fed now. Getting that last dragon, securing the Baron over contracts as well is huge for FlyQuest. They're in control.
Yeah, Masu just used the curtain call to poke Shopify down so the rest of the team could move up, take down this tier 1 turret, and guarantee more money in their pockets. Now nearly a 3,000 gold lead for FlyQuest. Less than 4 minutes on the clock until their Dragon Soul will spawn. Shopify went from driving the car to being stuffed into the trunk.
Yeah, and I just want to point out, we've talked about Griffin's objective control, right? The Drake steal, the Baron. However, look at this. He's participated in almost all of FlyQuest's kills, right? So he has just been absolutely involved with everything this team has been doing. I do want everyone to cast their mind way back to that topside fight before Baron that kind of set up the Baron take, because Gakkos was actually the hero of that fight, coming in with the teleport ward above where the fight was happening. So when Shopify were able to engage, he was able to come in completely onto the backline.
I mean, look at his journey. You know, hit Challenger at 13, hit rank 1 at 16. He was on T1 Challengers, which was very cool. Played in the CB LOL on Loud for a little bit, and now he is here in NA. This is a guy who, you know, some people have been hyping for quite a long time. I know LS has been a big fan of him and talking about him for many years. And so it is really cool to get to see him come out. And it was fun talking to ThinkHard about this team, because I talked to every coach and I asked the coaches, you know, how would you like us to judge your team? Like, by what metric would you want us to judge success? And he was saying, we have to win team fights. If this team cannot win team fights, something is wrong. He's like, I got a bunch of teenagers on my team. If we can't win with our hands, we're not going to win. He's like, I can teach them everything else, but they have to have good hands. If I'm going to sign a 17-year-old and an 18-year-old, you got to have good hands.
I think we've seen that today from a lot of these team fights, right? As we see the dance in mid lane begin.
Okay, so important to look at those side lanes. Quad does not have a teleport, so FlyQuest do not want this 4v4 to break out, because Fudge will be the one that can then immediately skew the odds for Shopify. So FlyQuest are going to disengage from this. They have vision control here in the topside river because it's 30 seconds until the Baron shows up. Quad does have his Rabadon's Death Cap on top of the Ludens and the Shadow Flame. We talked about how the game was starting so rough for this Orianna. He was set so far behind. He is the only one without an individual gold lead right now, but 3 full item power spike is plenty.
And especially, this is not the defensive items. This is not like a Roa and a Banshees and a Zonias. This is the one-shot you with a combo.
Okay, Gakkos is going in. Pathmaker to lead the way, but he won't find anybody immediately. Now Fudge has also arrived here with a TP. FlyQuest moving up, looking to reassert themselves as dominant in this river area with the Baron on the map. Contracts and Zenny waiting. Contract with a 3-man knockup, but nobody else is there. Nobody else is in the same town. Nobody else is in the same damn zip code. Masu just shoots him down, and Shopify are not coordinated enough. Griffin spins in with the R1, and he knocks B-Boy up into the air. Masu shoots him back down into the ground. Cryogen kills Seos. It's 3 dead for free, favoring FlyQuest.
And that's going to be Baron as well. Yeah. Contracts just sees 3-man ulti and his eyes get big, but your Varus is not there, your Azir is not there. No one can follow up on the play. He goes in, and insult to injury flashes out as he dies as well. So they get the kills. They're going to get the Baron uncontested, and FlyQuest are just running away with it in this first game.
Yeah, and I love the way that they have approached setting up these fights. We talked about how this composition with the Jhin, with so many divers, kind of wants to create that space, right? And so they've been setting this up so well with their positioning from Gakkos, who did this earlier. This is where Contracts just, I understand why he sees the angle.
Varus.
But yeah, your Azir is nowhere near you as well. The rest of the team was definitely not ready to follow up on this fight, which sets up beautifully for Jhin and Wukong to take over here.
Yeah, I mean, that is a tough one.
Hold on, we're already back to live, my friends. Gakkos in the front line. Fudge wrapping around for the flank here with the Dominus. Tempered Fate lands onto Quad, but Contracts is already killed at the start of the fight. Yet again, Fudge only arrives in time to be isolated from the rest of his team. Griffin goes into the back line of Shopify. Immediately forced away by the Emperor's Divide. FlyQuest has low health bars, but Shopify have already lost a man. Dragon still alive. Remember, it's Cloud Soul if FlyQuest claim it. B-Boy still have plenty of HP to work with. They need a lot of value here out of the piercing arrows. Curtain call opens up. B-Boy tagged with 2 shots. Make it 3, and he's already dead. Who brings a bow to a gunfight? fight. It's not a winning play. FlyQuest are going to take the kills and the objective.
And Seos just bailed on B-Boy. The Secret Service just dove out of the way. The president got taken out as Masu takes down B-Boy with that final shot. And Ludwig and Moist Critical tuning in at an inopportune moment, I think.
Yeah, I love what we've seen from FlyQuest in this game. Even when Shopify got ahead, they kept fighting the entire time through the mid-game, got quad back into it, right? Griffin and Gakko setting up so many of these picks. And, I mean, this is a young team with hands, like you said. The hands are working.
The hands are definitely working. And Shopify, you know, started out really well, but has not been necessarily on the same page with a lot of these engages. And some of them have been very costly. It feels like Fly is making these individual good plays. They're kiting out. It feels like we're having so many fights where it's really close margins, very low health, but they're able to stay alive, to stay involved in these fights. And I feel like they're on the precipice of closing out this game. Cloud Soul with these kind of champions and these long extended fights with that much move speed, so tough to deal with.
Yeah.
Cloud Soul Wukong is just wild stuff. Every time he gets this buff, it feels like the champion has unlimited target access. As FlyQuest are looking to force their way into the enemy base now. It's bottom lane, the first target here at the tier 3 turret line. Masu finds a quick shot there into B-Boy. Takes off about a third of his HP. As this tier 3 turret really isn't looking particularly sturdy. Shopify continuing to scramble to try to defend as FlyQuest move up slowly but surely towards their first inhibitor. That one should die in no time at all. Deadly Flourish locks up Zenny back near his own Nexus turrets as the mid lane tier 3 is the next target for FlyQuest. Griffin and Quad working together on that one. They've got it down to only the final plate as they'll force their way into a second lane now, and that inhibitor will also have no serious defense. The top lane wave is in no condition for a full 3 inhib play, but I think FlyQuest are pretty happy with the state of things.
Yeah, I mean, no kidding. Masu is almost to a true 7 items now at this point. You talked about Wukong, but Jin with that much move speed too. When Masu is getting a crit, he's at 600 move speed.
Yeah, he's pretty fast.
And that's without popping the Ghost Blade. So it is kind of hard to find the engage. I mean, at that point, you have got 100 to 0, because if he gets one auto off, he's going to pop his Ghost Blade, just zoom away. You are not getting back to this guy.
Yeah, and we'll see what, if anything, Shopify can do here. Is Griffin's still looking? And it's just kind of so terrifying, right? This Wukong flying towards you. Don't necessarily know where the rest of the team is as we push up through.
He's got Stormrazor now as well for the bonus move speed. He's about to hit Home Guard Rammus levels after a crit.
He's 100% crit super move speed Jin. He's going to be really fast.
Oh my God, man. Look at that guy. It's Usain Bolt on the Rift.
Yeah, just look at him move. He's got the anime shadow trail behind him.
All right, Renekton, just go catch that guy.
All right. Yeah, surely Slice and Dice is going to make sure that you're on top of this dude every time. And now you can see FlyQuest walking up the last remaining wave of non-supered minions as this tier 2 turret is dying. Okay, Jin just shot 40% of its HP off in one hit. Okay, FlyQuest are really hungry for this last inhibitor.
730 move speed without the Ghost Blade active when he rocks the Stormrazor.
Contracts goes in. He only finds the knockup onto Griffin, and that's not going to be a valuable enough target. Tempered Fate onto 2. Contracts, though, still isolated here on the front line. Finally dies. Quad taking the kill as Zenny goes next. Gakos will claim that kill himself as Fudge is juggled around. At least there's the 1 kill back onto Gakos for Shopify. They'll lose 2 for 1, but they do hold the tier 3 turret for now.
Yeah, they are alive for now. B-Boy surviving alongside Fudge. They do still have some power, and Fudge got a 1K shutdown there off of Gakos. If B-Boy can hit these arrows, it's great, but there's just so much move speed, it makes it a lot more difficult.
Yeah, look at Monster. He goes in 2 auto attacks. 2 auto attacks onto B-Boy, takes that much HP. Deadly Flourish doesn't hit Seos. FlyQuest don't need anything more. They already got what they came for here. It's 2.5 minutes of double super minions in every single lane.
It must feel so good to be Masu right now. Like,
these are the dream games.
Yeah, you're an AD carry player, right, Emily?
No,
this is just what dreams are made of.
Just like, this must feel amazing.
Oh, he sold his Stormrazor.
No
more zoom in.
Mercurial Scimitar
He's only
instead.
less
Who
fast.
needs that?
It's all right. He'll survive,
This one
I'm
doesn't
sure.
make you go faster, though, so I'm not really approving of the purchase.
Well, he does have his escape mechanism now if he gets caught by a Chains of Corruption or a Ruthless Predator. But let's see. FlyQuest going after the bear, and this is kind of, I feel like, the last chance for Shopify to do anything here. It would have to be fully crazy with the steal. We'll see what Contracts has ready to go. Everybody on Shopify is in the area, but the Baron's already down to 3,000 HP. It's going to be claimed by Griffin before anything else even happens. Cryogen down to 20%, but it will not matter. They cannot kill him. Another kill on the Contracts. Fudge gets one back. Griffin knocks everybody up into the air, and Shopify has to scatter. Zenny wants the Emperor's Divide, but the only thing cut in half is Shopify's roster. Nobody's still standing. It's a 5 for 2, and FlyQuest will march it down mid.
What a fantastic opening match for this FlyQuest roster.
Nicely done from FlyQuest. A shaky start. They recovered it in the mid-game, and they sent it home late. They'll go up 1-0 in this best of 3.
The Baron pit, where he ended up dying, where Varus is not there, Renekton is not there, even Azir is kind of far away. In the last fight, Contracts was Malphite ulting onto a Bard ulted target, so the communication was definitely kind of lacking, I think, from Shopify. And I know, speaking to their coaches, that was a real focus for them coming into this year, is really making sure they talked to me about wanting Contracts to always have a good idea of like how the fight was going to go before he took it, and trying to be less instinctual and more kind of like cerebral about it. So really kind of planning out how the fight should be fought, where you're going to do it, that sort of thing. And you can see they are still working on that, because it definitely, I think, was a little bit rough in game 1.
Yeah, I think you could see some early shades of that. Like, I did think their early game was really good. Great. I thought that was really well coordinated. When it got to the point in the game where sometimes you don't get the time to practice it in scrims, as it gets later, as you're looking at these mid-game and late-game objective contests, that's where it really seemed like communication started to break down on Shopify. By contrast, FlyQuest looked like they were on the same page completely going into those
They just
fights.
had to integrate into their world.
Exactly.
Right. Once they all found themselves on the same plane of existence, they were ready to go and they were locked in. But now we're into a brand new game, into a brand new draft, and bans are done for the first half. It's Poppy, Jarvan, and Gangplank banned out by FlyQuest. Shopify removing Ambessa, Jace, and Rumble, as Fly will first pick Talia for the second game.
Yep, and it is going to be a selection of second pick again. So we haven't really been seeing that at all. So it is cool that they are prioritizing that counter pick, and really want to see what they are going to do with it. It is Ryze, Talia, two very popular champions these days. Mid lane, I think, is more important than ever in competitive play, and these are two champions that can move around the map really, really well and affect those side lanes.
Yeah, you and I were kind of talking about this, where it's like, oh, an extended laning phase, guess what position just got even more important, because early mid prio is so crucial for the reasons that you stated, right? Because junglers might be doing kind of this power farm to 6, these mid laners can hit 6 or even earlier roam to their side lanes. As we see, Corki, another really popular staple bot lane pick coming in for Shopify.
Might just be Yunara or Aphelios, that's what I would guess.
Yep.
Those are kind of the general answers we're seeing these days. But yeah, to continue on the mid lane point, it's like you have an extended laning phase. Your role quest gives you empowered recall and additional move speed with your free tier 3 boots. It really does work super well in competitive, and you have the mid lane working well with the support, with the jungler, and then kind of trying to take their lead and push to the side lanes. That kind of seems to be the recipe for how League of Legends is played right now. And we'll see if anyone is going to buck the trend. I do feel like there should be a lot of room for, second pick. I guess we'll call it like counter pick, whatever, because that's obviously decoupled from blue side, red side now, so I have to kind of change my vernacular.
I like counter pick, that's good.
Counter pick, but in top lane, I think you should be able to play with combat sometimes. When people are blinding some of these champions that are able to be punished, I would like to see people try that more and try to play more of a split push style.
Well, we got Thresh here in this one, so some defensive capabilities for our Aphelios. Cryogen's going to be on protection duty for that immobile carry, while also looking to make some picks here with the death sensors. We'll see if he can hit any Mad Life Classics. It might be 2026, but we still got to appreciate where we came from, right? As the Xin Zhao locked in for Contracts here on Shopify, and I feel like we got a tale of two Contracts last time, because in that first game, he had an amazing start, but then the coordination with the team as things went on, not where they would have liked to see it. So I want to see Contracts have that first 15-minute performance the whole game through here in the second one.
Yeah, and I'm especially looking for coordination with Seos and whatever he decides to lock in. And then also with Zinni, right? Because Zinni, they did so heavily prioritize getting his Azir ahead into a good spot. And then were really unable to take advantage of that, even when they were doing a good job sending him to side lanes to collect gold.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is actually the first Thresh in NA since 2022 spring when Ayla was playing it. If you remember when he was subbing for Core JJ, and he was just spamming Thresh, and that was kind of that era where Core was really hyping him up and saying, you know, he's the second best support, only worse than me, right? And he was playing the Thresh. So cool to see the return of that. Thresh Aphelios becoming popular once again. Anytime Aphelios is there a lot, you start to think about Thresh a little bit. That was such a classic pairing, especially when he was first introduced.
Yeah, and we even saw it peeking out a little bit already at Worlds before this kind of extended laning phase kind of came in with all of the early season changes, checking in.
Wrong league. I'm sorry, they're not playing today.
FlyQuest also taking out the Nami and Gwen on their side, where Shopify kind of prioritizing taking some of these other jungle picks out of Griffin's hands.
Yeah, especially just really good pairings with Talia, right? You know, it's point and click CC, they're banning away. They've already taken the Xin. Now you're taking out the Vi as well as the Pantheon. Both easy setups for that seismic shove. That's generally what you think about. You can also, you know, generally look toward things like Jarvan, but that's banned out. You know, we've seen Wukong banned out. So a lot of these common pairings are already gone. So it'll be interesting to see where Griffin goes. He's a very flexible player. This guy plays all kinds of stuff. You know, he was giving an interview talking about how he's like the only jungler who can play Riven jungle because these other junglers haven't played enough Riven, and he plays all kinds of stuff. He likes Volibear, and he likes Skarner, and he likes all kinds of different styles of champions. So it'll be cool to see where he goes. As Seo's going to be going for Nico, so this time they are going more for the lane dominance here. Last time they were on the receiving end of that karma. This time they should have the push, and we'll see as long as they can play that well. Avoid some hooks, which is also very easy to do with Nico because you can just throw your clone into the hook every time they're going for it. So it should be a good 2v2 for them. Yeah,
it's Nico is still a menace, and I really like the pick here. Sion coming in for Gakkos in the top lane. And here might be that Volibear.
Dusk and Dawn volley?
Get Kobe on the phone. Somebody call Kobe. He's always going to be a fan of the Volibear lock.
I mean, also has point and click CC, right? You know, it is really strong right now. It is a lot more magic damage, especially if he is going for the Dusk and Dawn style that people kind of are expecting. Mostly people are going for that more AP style, but it's point and click CC for the seismic shove. It is a really strong duelist, and it's someone that, you know, especially if you are going more for those solo queue style builds, you can kind of just duel against people later on. He becomes really strong even in 1v1s, can take down soul laners, great on dives, obviously can turn off those towers. It is a really powerful pick right now, even though it's not as popular and competitive as it is in solo queue. It can be an absolute menace.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, it's already something that Griffin is comfortable bringing out, right? And fits within this composition well, which also has really nice frontline for this Aphelios to set up, right? Like, we see a lot of potential for the rest of his team to kind of be setting up Masu in a more traditional, like, front-to-back 5v5. Meanwhile, we have Fudge locking in the Gnar.
This is the first competitive Volibear jungle that I can see this season so far.
Oh, nice.
I've only seen it, I'm only seeing games in top, so it's popular in solo queue, definitely. Expecting the Dusk and Dawn rush.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gonna be excited to see how he actually gets it done.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it as the game goes on. The Sion being locked in there for Gakkos also makes the Gwen ban in phase 2 make a lot of sense. Generally, if you want to play a big meatball tank, banning away something like Gwen is always a good choice. But Fudge with the Gnar counterpick on that. Again, this goes back to what we were talking about at the start of the draft. Choosing to have the counterpick side of the draft means I better not see something lame that you could have picked as your first pick as pick number 5. They picked the Gnar into the Sion, so now it's up to Fudge to guarantee that choice in the draft, that strategic decision, has value.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to see if it actually does work out. Gnar, I feel like you have to really be so good at this champion to create big advantages. You know, really utilizing the passive and the transform to get your health back and just trading aggressively under tower, really punishing for every single CS. Because if you just kind of farm even against the Sion for a while, he's going to build some armor, and then nothing you do matters. And that's kind of just true of every Sion matchup. But yeah, we'll see if Griffin is going to go for the full kind of like solo queue style build, which would be Dusk of Dawn. People really like Navori, sometimes even as early as second, because once you have Dusk and Dawn plus Navori, you just straight up kind of beat everyone 1v1. Like the cooldown reduction on that is ridiculous. You're just spamming out W nonstop. You know, your E cooldowns and stuff are so low, so it is super, super powerful.
Yeah, and I'm super curious to see how this bot lane ends up going, especially with this Thresh pick and with Cryogen and Masu looking really well coordinated with each other in that first game.
Okay, Seos and B-Voy losing a little bit of HP here. Cryogen and Masu want to play this so aggressively, but as the minions are just now really colliding for the first time here in the lanes, we are waiting for Kangas, who's standing by for an interview with Griffin's brother. Hold on 1 second. That interview's coming up right after first blood, because FlyQuest gets paid. Masu's got the first kill. Kangas, what does Griffin's brother have to say about that?
Well, I'm here with Jordan, Griffin's brother. It sounded like Game 2 is going well for FlyQuest, and you flew all the way out to cheer him on. So tell me about what this experience has been like at the Riot Games Arena watching Griffin play.
It's been amazing, man. Seeing Johnson play on stage has been such a pleasure. Yesterday, we were at the FlyQuest facilities. They were very welcoming. Watching him play and communicate with the team, it's been really, really fun.
Now, I know that you're an older brother, 10+ years on Griffin, and you started playing League together, correct?
Well, so I started playing League Season 1, and I went out to college, left him my laptop, and he started playing ranked. I came back, and I think I was 22, he was 11, and we started playing ranked together. We were climbing, you know, I hit gold, he hits gold. He hits plat, I hit plat. At some point, I could not catch up. He just went diamond and masters, and I stopped there, but it's been a pleasure watching him climb.
Well, I know it means the world to him to have you here, but I know there's a lot of people back home cheering him on. Any shout-outs for them?
Yeah, shout out to Chicago, man. Everyone watching, supporting Johnson, supporting Griffin. Thank you guys all for watching. FlyQuest 2-0.
That's it from us. Back to the casters.
Some confidence there. The 2-0 getting called as Fudge wants to go for the wall up there onto Gakos, but misses the CC. Back in the bottom lane, it's Griffin showing up for only a moment here, but B-Voy and Seos are safe for now.
That wallop was actually so close to hitting, it looked like it just almost tagged him. And if it had, that would have been close to a kill, because you're going to cancel the Q, you're going to get the auto after it, and maybe be able to go for a flash follow and a finish there. So big deal that it did not hit, but Masu and Cryogen, back-to-back games, crushing it in the 2v2. I thought this was going to be super favored towards Shopify based on the matchup. When you pick Nico, you're playing for the lane dominance, and it did not go that way.
Yeah, and I really loved seeing that early aggression out of them, right? With this Aphelios Thresh, recognizing the windows they have to capitalize on any sort of hooks and pullbacks. I mean, we expected kind of B-Voy and Seos as the bot lane coming in to be a little bit more of the stable one. They've played together for a while. This is their second year together. But Masu and Cryogen are looking really in step.
Yeah, they've been looking really, really good. And I think Cryogen is the one who kind of had the least attention, least hype around him coming in. People know Gakos from last year being the sub for Whippo. People know Griffin because of all the hype around him. But Cryogen, you know, I guess he just turned 19, excuse me. I thought he just turned 18. But he has been around for a while, but hasn't played a tremendous amount of competitive, only has those 8 games of NACL experience. But talking to Thinkard, he thinks he has a lot of promise. You know, mechanically, he thinks he's really, really good and really has to focus on kind of learning that more like shot calling style that you expect from supports. You know, really often it is about support jungle in the early game, dictating where you're going on the map, how you're going to play around vision, and that's such a difficult thing to pick up really quickly, so it's going to be about how quickly he can do that.
Well, I think his Karma did a perfectly fine job in game number 1. They were bullying the lane. They got that early tempo they wanted. Now here in game number 2, it's all about the skill shots. Can we keep Masu protected, and can we lock up those high-value targets on Shopify Rebellion? It's a 500 gold lead here, or just thereabouts, for FlyQuest with no kills on the board. As Zinni is moving into the bottom side river, keep your eyes on the Realm Warp. Fudge down to 300 HP here on the top side, trying to trade aggressively like you were talking about earlier, Isaac, using the tower shots with the bonus health from Mega Gnar, trying to keep the pressure on.
Yep, you got to do that. You got to keep that pressure rolling here. And Gakos is going to go back to base, so Fudge is going to be able to crash this wave. We'll see if Gakos even uses the ult to get back to wave, or if he's just going to accept that he'll lose a couple minions here.
Attempted death sentence from Cryogen, but no target. Griffin hanging around once more, but he's only going to find a ward to clear out, and it does seem that we'll get the Scion ulti back to the lane there from Gakos, not planning on needing that one to join any sort of a fight here soon. About halfway through the teleport timer for him, as well as Griffin is going to be in some danger. Immediately jumped on by Shopify Rebellion, but they don't have the first. Seismic shove back the other way as Contracts is low. Griffin flashes away. B-Boy over the wall here with the Falcons. Zinni is down to 40% HP. FlyQuest looking for more. They want the enemy rise, but they can't quite find him. Masu tags B-Boy with the Gravitum, and they lock up the Corki. Flash over the wall keeps him alive. Seos in some danger. Flayed right back into the unraveled earth, and Quad picks up another one. FlyQuest have a 3-1 game.
Nicely done there by FlyQuest. Shopify really committed to trying to burst down Griffin, but the E came down. He got that shield before they could actually get the kill off. Contracts and Seos both flashed on him to try to one-shot him there, but they couldn't get the kill. It meant they had to commit so much more to killing off this Volibear, and while you're chasing after this no HP Volibear in the back of the pit, you are getting roasted by the rest of the team.
Yeah, I mean, that gave Talia kind of a perfect window to get in here and do damage. As you see those flashes going down, Quad is just going to lay down this wall, hit the knockback right there, which really just sets up the rest of this fight. I also really liked Cryogen in this fight, really trying to set things up on the Thresh. And yeah, I mean, there we go.
The play onto the unraveled earth is
really good. And knockback is really good from the Talia Thresh combo.
But definitely have to make sure that he is on the same page with Quad with, who's doing what in what order, right? Because, the first seismic shove pushed the hook out of the way. The Flay can do the same thing. But really nice combo. Great skirmishing early on here. And Gakkos definitely taking a bit of a beating. Fudge is going to continue trying to trade aggressively here. And this is what you want to do. You want to be in their face nonstop. Every time you're transforming into Mega, you're getting health back. He has the fleet.
Okay, Griffin's in trouble again, though. Has to use the ulti defensively over the wall as Shopify invade for the second spawn of the red buff here in the FlyQuest jungle. Contracts is going to get away with claiming that one, as now Griffin missing the ulti. Significantly less threat for his plays.
Yeah, and this should be able to set up Dragon for Shopify. I was wondering, okay, when we see these mid laners roam right, Quad joining that river fight previously, Zinni using the Realm Warp to get onto Griffin, keep him down, and then be able to rotate up for Shopify to take this first Drake. So I like that we're already seeing the mid laners using both of their semi-globals to join up with the rest of their team.
Yeah, I really like it. And I also just like the fact that Contracts is playing around a better buy. The Sheen has been purchased now for Griffin. But one of the awkward things about Dusk and Dawn is the build path is a little bit weird. So, you're sitting on a Kindle Gem when they have Tunneler on the other side, or a Kindle Gem and a Dagger. It's just not that same amount of power that you are going to be having over on the side of the Xin Zhao. So Contracts, knowing he has that better buy, using that mid lane movement from Zinni and just kind of getting in the face of the opponents here.
But once that item's complete, man, you are feeling pretty strong. Dusk and Dawn is definitely one of the winners, it feels like, from all of the new season changes, as Void Grubs are claimed, all three, here for the side of FlyQuest. You can see Griffin activating the Scryer plant next to the Wraith camp, there, the chicken camp. I still sometimes call it the Wraith camp from all those years ago.
I still call it
I accept both.
Because, bird camp covers all birds.
Are Wraiths birds?
I don't know. They're bird-like.
Thought they were like ghosts.
Yeah, isn't a Wraith a I don't think a ghost is a bird.
They could be bird ghosts.
Oh, yeah. What if it's the ghosts of all the birds that got killed in the camp before?
That's kind of grim.
Especially
I
since
just
it's
always
backwards.
call them, when I do jungle pathing spreadsheets, I just call them birds.
I mean, to be fair, that fits in the little, what do you call them, columns or boxes or nodes or whatever on a spreadsheet better than chickens does, right?
Yeah.
You're the expert on this.
There you go.
I only asked one syllable, too. Birds.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, we've also only got one kill on the side of Shopify Rebellion. It's been a pretty quiet early game from them, and FlyQuest are enjoying more than a 1,000 gold lead because of it. The single Drake claims so far.
He saw the E in the early smote and lost it.
Unlucky.
Oh, well.
We'll look the other way. We didn't see it.
Quad knows he's behind him, though. That's dangerous stuff.
Yeah, Quad throwing out the Unraveled Earth there prevents Contracts from being able to charge audaciously towards the FlyQuest mid laner, and Quad is just fine. Does pop his Ghost there, though.
Yep, is going to have to use that Ghost. Has the phase rush as well, so obviously a lot of movement speed here when that does get going. And as much as every time we pan up to top lane, Fudge, it feels like is just smacking Gakkos around. It is 101 CS to 101 CS, and now your selection of counter pick here instead of first pick starts to feel like, all right, what did we really get done?
All right, Griffin's going in, immediately stuns up Zinni. There is your seismic shove into the Unravel. It's a textbook play in the mid lane, and bottom side, the 2v2 is a dub for FlyQuest. FlyQuest as well. 5-1 game now as Shopify falls flat in 2 separate lanes at the same time. And Cryogen threads the needle there with a death sentence. Masu is going to need a little bit more damage to finish off the kill, and the single auto attack will do it. FlyQuest styling on him in the 2v2.
This FlyQuest bot lane is so fun to watch. Really making the most of this Aphelios Thresh. They just seem so well coordinated and are taking every opportunity to try to make B-Boy and Seos' life absolutely miserable.
I mean, that was just so well done. They get the initial kill. We missed most of that, but then the sniper Q threads through onto B-Boy to be able to allow him to get the Gravitum root. So he roots him up, sets up for that hook that Cryogen then nails. They get another kill. That is beautiful stuff. Lane dominance coming through back-to-back games from the FlyQuest bot lane. Last time they had to come back. This time they are just slamming them. So both of them, again, same thing, setting it up. I guess he had no clone, or maybe you can't use the clone while you're rooted. That's something I'm not actually sure about. You know, I don't know how that interaction works, but I'm assuming he just didn't have it. Masu just back-to-back sniper Qs, setting up Gravitum roots and perfect hooks there to follow from Cryogen. And then he realizes the minions are still tanking. I can just walk through with the Ghost. Tower shot not enough to knock him down.
Good shit, Masu. We're fine.
I agree. That's probably about how I would summarize
Bro
it
is
as
too,
well.
too locked in.
True.
Masu didn't even, it's like, I know.
That's clean comms right there. All right, 3 words is all you need.
I feel like that's such an ADC thing, though,
Brother, there's minions to kill. I can't be talking.
when we panned
More click, less talk.
When we panned to Sajid yesterday, and they were like, Lions was hyping him up. Sajid's just like stony-faced, farming.
So the observers did confirm. So his Nico clone was just on cooldown. So he must have used it, you know, in a trade earlier, or maybe trying to block a hook or something earlier. But didn't have it, and does get punished.
Okay, so critically, we've got the second Drake of the game about to spawn here in 15 seconds. Mid lane and bottom lane quests are completed for FlyQuest. They are not for Shopify Rebellion. Pretty big difference in power there, as FlyQuest have to be a little bit mindful of Quad's position. Seos does hit him up there with that ulti, but no, it's Seos' Nico in trouble as Griffin goes forward and he finds the kill. Jumps back over the wall there with the lantern, staying alive for now. Shopify trying to escape. Fudge knocked back with the seismic shove. Zenny's your next target. He goes with the blast cone, clears the wall. Nice placement on that one, but still, it's only a consolation prize. They've already lost their support, and the control over the bot side river belongs to Fly. Quad still looking for a little bit more. Wants seismic shove, won't find it. Decimating smash prevents the counterattack from Shopify, and FlyQuest continues looking for any more opportunities. They're already 3,500 gold ahead, and they just claimed the Drake.
I love this aggression coming out of FlyQuest, right? Because on the back half of that, where they're still trying to chase after Zinni in this mid lane, they're also getting the Drake at the same time. Really great use of all this bot side pressure they've been able to establish previously. And as soon as they see the ability to go in, Seos has to use this defensively. The rest of his team is not there yet, so he dies immediately on the back half of this fight.
Yep, pops the clone, does try to get out, but Griffin guesses right and bites him in half, had the Dusk and Dawn for this fight. And you can see when Geckos comes in, they have this kind of continued fight in mid lane that I guess we're not going to watch, but yes, there is some AP damage on the other side. Like, Zinni is a rise, but for that fight, he had Merc Treads, a Tier, and a Catalyst. So you are not doing anything at that point.
And I like the choice Griffin made with the clones, because the other clone, if that was the right one, it's flung into the waiting arms of your teammates. Even if he hits the blast cone, he's dead anyway.
Yep.
The bottom right clone is the only one that had a chance of maybe escaping. So I think that Griffin made the right choice there 10 times out of 10. FlyQuest up 3,000 gold still, just about 15 minutes on the clock. 7-1 scoreline early on here in this second game. And Shopify has quickly got to find a way to stop this bleeding, my friends, because if it gets much worse, they're going to be praying for FlyQuest mistakes, and that's it.
Yeah, and what a different tale of the mid lane in this game, right? Because Quad, we talked about him getting involved early with his team, with that Talia wall, as they're going to look to get on Fudge.
Yeah, Fudge has got to be careful here. Does manage to clear a little bit further. Death Sentence does not hit the Gnar. Masu has Gravitum, but he's got to be a bit careful as Contract shows up and the wind becomes lightning, doesn't find the right target. Griffin is going to be left for dead. Pop Blossom from Seos hits Cryogen, but there's no additional damage. Griffin the only casualty so far. The minion wave has crashed into the Tier 1 turret. FlyQuest wants to try to get away. Masu surely knows he's dead here, but a beautiful Death Sentence. means he doesn't die alone. Cryogen will fall, and honestly, big punish coming out of Shopify there in a 3-for-1.
Yeah, and just as we were praising FlyQuest for being kind of aggressive within reason, they really overextend on that topside play where the rest of Shopify were able to get in. As we see, Geckos is going to be able to push in this bot wave. But yeah, this is a nice little counter punch from Shopify.
The Dusk and Dawn really goes to your head, you know? he was
full build, guys.
He was feeling himself. I mean, it's a pretty big overchase. The Q is going to expire. He ults in, but the Q stun expires before he even gets there. Then the Flay comes out. Great sidestep by Fudge. And now you are between two towers with everyone from Shopify coming in. Masu needs to kite away from them, but if he kites too far back, he's getting hit by the tower. So it's kind of just an impossible to play fight. They almost burst down contracts. He flashes away from Masu's ulti, but we're back fighting again.
Yeah, we're already back to live. It was flash from Griffin, flash from Zinni, and there's enough damage left on the Volley Bear to finish the kill on the rise. 30-second death timer, but what else can they get from it? There is still turrets standing at the tier 1 level, top lane and mid lane. You can see Quad pushing out that top lane right now. No neutrals to fight over, but a little bit of plate money on your already fed Taliyah could help FlyQuest to accelerate this lead even more.
And we're talking about all the move speed from Masu last game. He's got a lot this game too. Stormrazor Rush, he's playing Fleet, and he went Swifties, right? So he has a tremendous amount of move speed, especially on those procs for the Fleet, as well as that Stormrazor, which is going to make it a lot more difficult to stick to him. It's super valuable against champions like the Xin, like the Gnar, who, you know, are going to have trouble actually getting through the Thresh, right? You're trying to get in onto this guy through box, through Flay, through Lantern, and that is going to make things really, really tough.
Biggest individual lead this game is nearly 1,500 gold here in the mid lane. 4 quads Taliyah, Rylai's, Seraphs, Enchanted Mercury Treads. This Taliyah is feeling so strong, and with 60 seconds on the clock until the 3rd Drake of the game, I have to feel like FlyQuest as a whole is feeling confident in their ability to just say, if it's a fight on even terms, we win.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's so tough for all of these kind of shorter range champions to be able to find those entrants into fights.
Okay, immediate ulti coming out from Griffin here, and the seismic shove on Contracts knocks him back into the team. You want to take a free dragon, kill the enemy jungler. Contracts is going to respawn just in time for that timer, but he'll be trapped in the base. Zinni's dead here too, and things just aren't getting any better for Shopify Rebellion. A TP also coming in now from FlyQuest to reinforce the top lane so Fudge doesn't get anything on the other side of the map.
Yep, and see if they want to go after Seos.
Yes, Seos. Oh, the flash into the stun immediately locks him up. Seos with a flash away from the lightning crash means that he will not die there. But man, FlyQuest are not giving him room to breathe.
This is just such a fun team to watch, right? Like, they're saying, we're stronger, we're just going to fight you. They're not giving him any room to breathe, as you said. Just constantly in their face, non-stop forcing fights here. You know, Fudge wants to play like a slow game through side lanes and whittle down towers. You are not getting a chance. And if they catch you, your Rylai's slowed and you are not getting away either.
All right, Dragon is the target here for Shopify, trying to get anything they can in a game that is getting further and further away from their grasp. But FlyQuest have brought the whole party here too. Fudge running low on the Gnar bar as Cryogen's the target for B-Boy, but he's not low enough health to try to burst him down. Mountain Drake claimed by Shopify. Big move there from Contracts, hitting the smite. But can FlyQuest find anything afterwards? It doesn't quite look like it. They're going to walk away. So chalk that one up as a win for the Rebellion.
Yeah, I feel like Cryogen was really out of position there. You know, you're not playing Alistar. You're not a flanking champion, right? You need to kind of be with the team to step forward and have that threat of the hook to create space for your team. So being on the wrong side, I think B-Boy plays that well. He realizes, who cares? You can hook me. You're by yourself. I'll kill you. So just pushes him out, makes it be that just that flip for the Dragon, and this time Contracts gets the better of Griffin, able to take that away, which is really nice after what happened last game.
Yeah, and B-Boy was previously down over 1K, right? He's completely back in the game, I believe, after that topside fight. So if he does get isolated with someone like Cryogen, it's going to hurt. Like, he will be easily be able to kill him off. And that was kind of the... This FlyQuest team is super fun to watch. I do think we will see some more tiny moments like that, right, where someone's on the slightly wrong side of the fight. But I am really loving just how they're establishing pressure on the map, kind of moving together in 2s and 3s and just trying to pick off Shopify where they can.
And I just think it's such an exciting start to the year for LCS, where we have these teams that were kind of, not expected to have big performances, like DSG yesterday, FlyQuest today, teams that were, having subs or young players, and you're kind of thinking, all right, well, if you're going to get there, it's going to take some time, right? Even talking to the teams, they thought it was going to take some time. I did the draw show. Masu, when they got drafted in, literally was like, yeah, I don't think we're as good as Shopify right now. But, he thought they could be later on. But see, this kind of a start, this kind of confidence is just really, really nice. It's what you want from a young team. Impressive individual mechanics, a lot of confidence, just take fights and try to outplay your opponents, and you can kind of learn the rest of the nuances of the game over time.
I feel like if there's any time to play fast and loose and see how far your hands are going to take you, it's lock-in tournament. It's the start of the year. Figure out what your current limitations and your goals to break those should look like. And right now, FlyQuest is putting on a solid early showing. We have less than 3 minutes until the next Drake spawns. Baron obviously on the Rift with a little bit of vision from both teams around that topside area, but it is more favoring FlyQuest. Fudge wants to go for the Mega Gnar into the wall there. Does force the flash out of quad in response. We'll see if Shopify can turn that into an opportunity to target that Talia in a future team fight.
Yeah, and so Griffin is just going to go more of a competitive style build. Dusk and Dawn into tank, has that unending despair. So not doing anything too crazy. No quick blades like you see in solo queue a lot of the time. And sometimes, you're going to see even that and then more AP. But obviously like Cosmic Drive and things like that. But this is more standard and is still going to give him some dueling power.
Okay, quad again, going to be targeted by Fudge, who flashes away from the seismic shove, wants to guarantee the kill on the FlyQuest mid laner here, nearly gets it, but close isn't good enough. Quad survives 100 HP.
Phase Rush, Ghost, Rylai's. It is a big move speed difference. He just kind of popped Ghost and ran right past him, even without being able to hit that seismic shove. So Fudge forces a flash, but then loses his flash on the next play.
Yeah, and while we have seen Fudge be trying to go for these kills as early as just the super early 1v1 top lane, right? It always seems like his opponent has been able to escape
just barely.
Somehow. Yeah, and you and I were talking about this off camera yesterday, Isaac, about Sion and how difficult, just what a valuable champion he is for so many compositions, how strong he is coming out of this top lane, and then also how difficult it is to keep him down, because the only answer is to just kind of repeatedly dive him or really, really shove him into the ground early.
Yeah. Which is so hard to do because you have a champion, a tank that has 3 AoE abilities and an ult that does AoE damage and can get back to you lane faster, and a passive that also lets you get experience and clear up the wave even if you die. So Fudge now maybe gonna get chased down.
Yeah, the decimating smash knocks him up into the air, even though Griffin got knocked away there by the Mega Gnar ulti. The Volley Bear is right back in business with a point and click stun. Decimating smash on top of it makes it all too easy to land every other skill shot. Griffin's gonna take his 3rd kill of the game.
Yeah, it always just feels like in Sion matchups, you get to a point you're like, all right, you have 5 CS lead. He has 1,000 free health.
Yeah, doesn't feel great, but FlyQuest are loving the way things are right now. 3,500 gold lead. Wave crashing into the tier 2 turret mid. 25 seconds on the clock until the next Drake spawns. Gakko's going to collect more plate money from the tier 2 in the bottom lane as well. And with mid and bot lane both shoved up, the map is in the state you would want it to be for a dragon spawn.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked with, they had that slightly over-aggressive play on the top side, right? But even with how they've been willing to hit the go button so frequently, they've actually been playing out this mid game pretty patiently, really trying to set up their side lanes, getting picks when they can in them, and that's set up for this completely uncontested Drake, and now they're on Soul Point.
Yeah, and I'm just really concerned for Shopify because even though Ryze does scale well, can be really powerful, later on into the game, you're so short range and there's so much CC over on the other team that it is really hard to think about a fight where he can actually get into the back line, be hitting these carries without just getting flayed into Unraveled Earth and stunned, and then Volibear stun, and then Sion stun, and then, all of this CC is really, really tough. So it feels like you are depending now on Seos and Fudge. You need flanking engages, you need that big Pop Blossom on the back line, you need the multi-man Mega Gnar to kind of create that chaos in that space where Zinni and B-Boy and Contracts can thrive, because otherwise, you try to walk at them, there's just no chance it's ever going to work, and you're looking at luxury items coming through, things like the Mikhails to try to keep them safe, the Lantern, all those kind of extra tools are there that are going to make it so tough to knock down someone like Masu, who's on this super high DPS build. LDR is completed, already had his IE second. So it's going to be really, really tough for Shopify. It requires them to have deep vision, great teleports, I think, to really have a chance.
All right, well, in terms of teleports, they do have it available for Fudge. Over on the other side, you can see also available for Gakko. Since both mid laners are running Ghost this game with no Summoner Spellbook, it means that's really the only big macro summoners we're looking at this game. And both the Gnar and the Scion are now set up in the bottom lane. Still 3.5 minutes until the next Drake spawns, means that nobody else really needs to hang out around here. FlyQuest do have control over the topside river and the Baron pit here at the same time. There is that one ward from Shopify that's immediately seen now by the control ward from FlyQuest, so that's going to get cleared out too. And now the pressure also starts to mount for Shopify Rebellion. Could they be sneaking Baron? We've got to make sure that we've got vision on this. Don't let them get away with it, as it feels like the map and their influence of it continues to shrink.
Yeah, and it makes it super dangerous for Shopify to kind of go in, as you see Cryogen still tracking Seos, fighting over vision in this Baron pit, with how pick heavy and just how much this FlyQuest composition can lock you down. It just makes it even scarier for Shopify to kind of go in and check these darker parts of the map.
And they're just going to be hitting the Baron. Seos is going to get eyes on it, so they're aware of it. But the question is, can they do anything? Fudge is moving up. We'll see how quickly he can get there.
Yeah, FlyQuest wants to just get some kind of resources out of Shopify, some kind of movement. Contracts just loses a massive chunk of HP there, about a quarter of his health. The single auto attack from Masu. Griffin's doing a lot of damage here to the Baron. Cryogen finds a death sentence onto Zinni. Chunks him down, but Cryogen's also low now. Gat goes in the middle of everybody. Griffin coming around from the side and locks up Zinni again. Seos on the approach, but here comes the Weaver's Wall. Quad has arrived into the fight as Shopify scatter and try to escape. Lock up onto only the clone there, and everyone from Shopify gets out. Zinni and Fudge, both Shopify Rebellion solo laners, very low on HP.
But look at the flashes. 4 missing flashes from Shopify, so they had to spend so many of those tools, and 4 are still available on the other side. They're just going to go right back to the Baron, give them no time at all.
And this is something I was talking about earlier with the lack of teleports in this game. It's much harder for Zinni to get in here. He has Realm Warp to try to close the distance if he can. Seo's still on the flank. Fudge and B-Boy looking for the opportunity, but Fudge has no Gnar bar. He has to fight as many Gnar if they want to go in. Contracts being chased back away by Griffin as the Baron will partially reset. Griffin's over the wall, nearly kills Contracts, instantly goes on a killing spree right back over to grab his Eve off. And Griffin is beast mode on the volley bear. A double kill as he knocks down B-Boy. The bear is there and he just don't care. Griffin will finally fall, but it's a good death.
Oh my God, Griffin just straight up like 1v2'd them there, man. They pull off the Baron, he just goes for the fight, knocks down Contracts, and then takes even more. The team won't stop.
They are not done yet. A rampage for Quad as Seos cannot escape the fallout of the fight. Zinni continues pushing up the mid lane here, but he's greeted by Masu, who does have purple gun. Nobody else around on the FlyQuest side means Zinni is just fine.
Yeah, as we see this again, they do Realm Warp in immediately, and Griffin is just like, I need to take Contracts out of this, right? The curious thing to me is how long he survives to be able to get that kill onto Contracts, goes right back in onto B-Boy.
Well, the biggest thing there for me is the fact that as he was going in, he ults in, and then he flashes back into his Sky Splitter. That's why he instant flashed back over the wall, because the E was coming down. So he flashes back into the Sky Splitter, gets the shield, is able to keep that fully stacked lethal tempo up, and just knocks down another one. That was sick from Griffin. And that is the power of the Dusk and Dawn. This item is ridiculously powerful in the right hands. And that is clone after clone.
Good catch there from Cryogen, finds Seos, and that is the real Nico. Trying to get away, not gonna happen. Quad is unstoppable, and that Sky Splitter that you're talking about, Azale, that is the difference between getting the second kill and not. It was such a small amount of HP, Sky Splitter more than accounts for that. As now with the enemy support dead, one of those huge, big engage mechanisms, there's no way for Shopify to approach the Baron, and that's Baron going the way of FlyQuest, as Shopify are gonna try to take the consolation prize of the Drake. This will set them to Soul Point, but now they've got to weather the Baron storm for the next 3 minutes.
I just love how
we're doing it.
After that duel that he had, he's like, you know what? I will build Navori.
Will he even get to it before they close out this game?
He is looking fearsome, though. What a great debut so far for Griffin. Had a slower start in game 1, but ended up being huge for them throughout the later stages. And in this second game, he has been massive. You know, Zinni is trying to split push, trying to get something going, but I just feel like they don't care at all.
Yeah, we've got everybody from FlyQuest minus Gakgos pushing up this mid lane. That inhibitor gets claimed. Gakgos is over in mid, getting the second lane primed and ready to go for the push to rotate over right after. Fudge is going to try to stop this one as FlyQuest decide they are not going to continue full pressing on this. They're going to reset. They're going to purchase, spend some of that money. Still deathless on Quad's Talia here in the mid lane. Deathless on Gakgos' Scion up there in the top side.
This FlyQuest team is so fun. I know we've said this so many times, but like it is amazing to just watch a team that just believes in their own mechanics so much. The shocking thing for me is I just didn't think they'd be this well coordinated.
Yeah.
Especially with how
they day one.
Yeah, with how they've actually like played out the map. Like team fights, yes, but just how they've played out their lead has been so impressive for a team that's been together for such a short amount of time.
It really is. I feel like they're kind of just playing, you know, in this one way where they're feeling like, okay, we are stronger. We're going to force fights. That is what we are going to do. Quick plays are now done. So Griffin wants to fight anyone on the map. You pretty much don't lose 1v1s as long as you can hit. Actualizer is done for Zinni, so that is a pretty big spike if you can find that perfect combo with that item active.
Yeah, Actualizer is pretty nutty on Rise. You can get over 6,000 mana with this ridiculous thing. You have 2 tier items alongside it, but it's still a very, very uphill battle for the Shopify side. Down over 5,000 gold. At least they do have Soul Point. I feel like if maybe they can hold out and somehow secure the Mountain Soul, that's pretty much the only chance they've got here. But FlyQuest have just been playing much more of a coordinated game. Masu staying safe there, pulled back to safety. Shopify Rebellion will defend the mid lane inhibitor, but not the turret that protects it.
They did get the Mikhails there off of Cryogen, so they did force that out onto Masu, but Masu's just kind of healing right back up. The Actualizer right now, when popped, it's 33% more damage as well as 30% off of his basic cooldowns. So if Rise can find the angle, there's always a chance with this item. Are they going to go?
They want the angle right now. They're putting Seos on the flank to try to go in for the Pop Blossom, but FlyQuest sniffs it out as Seos has to try to run away from Griffin. Sky Splitter tags him for a little chunk of damage, but he does escape the CC. And that's Realm Warp. That's your chance of catching somebody off guard, and it just completely floundered.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting because they clearly weren't confident to like fully send it in the middle of FlyQuest. They were kind of trying to do it almost as like a pseudo flank, but that's always going to be marked and found out by one of these strong FlyQuest members. So it just didn't feel like they were willing to fully commit to it, and if you're not, you don't have a chance.
And Griffin will make sure that he auto attacks down this mid lane inhibitor. Nearly gets it, but it actually survives at 5 HP as Griffin has to defensively ult away to stay alive. Zinni does not get hooked by the death sentence. Wave crashing into the tier 3 turret in the bottom lane here at the same time, but that one's still got plenty of plates left. FlyQuest splitting attention between this mid lane inhibitor that only needs a quick tap to knock it over and the bottom lane inhibitor turret where Masu's trying to keep the waves crashing in. Honestly, a little bit of a tragedy here for FlyQuest as that mid lane inhib stays standing and Shopify will take everything they can get.
Yeah, I mean, it could matter here in a minute because you talked about the potential win condition for Shopify is still probably getting Mountain Soul. You're praying that you get that Mountain Soul somehow, that you can stabilize the game, and meaning that they have that extra inhib up, but yeah, they still lost the top one, but at least it won't be those 2 inhibs down for when you're having to deal with that on the other side of the map.
Okay, could be a catch here. Quad knocked up into the air by the 3 Talon strike. Flash over the seismic shove from Contracts. A stasis from Quad to buy an extra moment, but he is shut down. That's 1,000 gold in the Xin Zhao's pocket. Wind becomes lightning, and Griffin is the next target. Fudge with the Mega Gnar into the wall, and now they're going to take Griffin out as well, but Zinni dies in trade. FlyQuest brings in the reinforcements, but Shopify still get a 2-for-1.
Yeah, and Seos and Beaver are here. If they overchase, they can actually walk right into this Nico. We'll see.
And there's Monsu. He's caught immediately. The burst is down, and there goes the 80 carry from FlyQuest. Massive mistakes at a massive moment, and with 20 seconds on the clock for the Mountain Soul, Shopify have found their hope.
And they are going to be sprinting towards that Drake pit. In that initial fight, Zinni survives for so long when Griffin kind of makes the choice, okay, Quad, you're going to die anyway. I'm going to jump onto the Rise. He survives just long enough for the rest of Shopify. Here's where they think they get the catch onto Quad.
I mean, I just think Quad was playing with fire here. Like, what was he doing? He saw them in his face, and he just kind of stayed around for so long, gives over that 1K. Everyone gets pulled in. Griffin is an insanely powerful duelist at this point of the game, but only if you can hit. He's just getting chain CC'd as Fudge arrives, and then they just lost track of where Seos and B-Boy could be. They had no vision in the jungle, walked straight in. B-Boy and Seos delete Masu. That is their only carry. And this was all precipitated by this overextension from Quad. He's just way too far up. He's playing with fire, dies for free, and now Soul is on the other team, and you're in danger of potentially losing this game.
The Think Card head scratch is the most appropriate emote for that sequence, I feel like, for a lot of FlyQuest fans, because it does just seem like a silly blunder compared to the coordination they've had for the rest of the game. But now it does give Shopify a fighting chance here in game 2. They are still down 3,500 gold, but with the Mountain Soul in their possession, it pretty much makes up for that. So let's see who's going to have the better team fight here as FlyQuest again seek to control the topside river around the Baron pit.
Yeah, and that Drake, that contract secured earlier in the game, becoming absolutely crucial, allowing Shopify to catch, really make the most out of that mistake from Quad on the top side. Now they're right back into this.
Oh, Gakkos
we'll see what Fire doing.
Okay, there it is. Gakkos coming around from the side, wants to look at only a clone. Not really anything valuable there for FlyQuest to claim. They will at least secure the Scuttle Crab as their reward, but Shopify disengaged there very cleanly. Another clone going to be used for scouting purposes. Finds the control ward in the brush. Death sentence attempted there in case Shopify got a little bit too antsy with their vision clearing.
And now Zinni, since we last checked in, has a full Void Staff. So he is really going to be starting to hurt the front line. Has the Actualizer, obviously is on those 4 fully completed items. Masu's still a very big lead down on that bot side, though. Griffin as well. So they are still, I feel like, somewhat in the driver's seat, but Mountain Soul making this very close after it felt like it was going to be a Game 2 stomp.
And based on what you said earlier, when we saw the mistake play, the throw up in the top lane from FlyQuest, Azael, if Griffin is not chain CC'd, this volley bear is a nightmare to try to kill. Navori fully completed, the cooldowns are virtually non-existent, but if they can lock him up, he's not super durable, as now Shopify have begun the Baron. They've got it down to 1/3 HP. Are they going to try to burst this, or are they going to risk a flip? Seo's coming around for the flank, Contracts in the middle of everybody, but where's the follow-up Pop Blossom? Shopify got to be careful now as FlyQuest continue to defend. B-Boy firing off some rockets. Quad goes over the wall. The Weaver's wall trying to create some chaos. Fudge is locked up. The Meganar transforms just in time, but he should still die here. Another rock is thrown, and Fudge is gone. A kill for Masu as Zinni drops, and Shopify Rebellion are now caught on the wrong side of the map. It's Contracts, Seos, and B-Boy in a 3v5. They're going to need some kind of miracle here as they
Masu's going mid
towards the enemy turret. Masu's going to go mid because these death timers will be delayed. The rest of FlyQuest is confident in their ability to 4v3. There's still 40 seconds on both dead players for the Rebellion, and now the remaining 3 will try to re-engage onto Griffin. Plenty of damage here as B-Boy's first to die. Resurrection comes through on Contracts, and Seos is going to drop next. Contracts can't get away, and Masu's position in the enemy base sets FlyQuest up for the win. Masu will do plenty of work. Gakkos is going to show up with the TP to help him, and FlyQuest, recognizing their chance, will stop any Shopify hope, and the new FlyQuest rebuild starts 2026 with a 2-0 win.
What are you talking about rebuild? They're already online. They're already here.